بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد النبي الأمي وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Dear brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Best of greeting for everybody and welcome all of you. Welcome you again with your program Fatwa Life. The first question tonight is a very important one and it's a very sensitive one. And it continues some of the issues, a lot of sensitive issues that I would like to share with you. It might look a simple question. One of our brothers saying, and he owns a company. He found out there's a theft during work. He think it's one of the employees, but he doesn't have any proof. That proof is suspicion. Can he put some money in a place to trap the person, as if it is something that is left or forgotten, and he will, who's going to take it to see to I mean, it's a trap for the thief. If it is let allowed, what is it that he could do in this situation when there's some money missing and he have suspicion? This remind us all of the enticing for the crime. Entrapment, what is known as entrapment, is to tempt you to commit a crime. If they did, we arrest them. And their proof or their that we are trying to protect all the bad apples that's in there. Instead of keeping it in the street where it destroys the society, I will try to entrap them and try to catch it before it becomes a problem. You understand there is a lot of in the West, they try to entrap people to become like in one of those terrorist organizations, and they try to brainwash them into so many false ideas, and then tell them to do certain after putting like the emotions that it works days, and then they put some tools to make certain terrorist actions. So if they try to do it, they catch them, and they are the one who entrapped them. They are the one who has control over the whole scene, and they watch everything, and they just arrest them in the time that they look for. Now the question is there any morality to this kind of action? Like, is there any way that certain uh, uh, institutions that they could do that? They said we are trying to protect something that is more a bigger effect. I am just exposing what is said in the question. I'm not trying to put anything. Like, they are trying to say, okay, this person has some terrorist ideas in his mind, and he might flips at any time. So we are trying to entrap him, to give him that certain environment that's going to entice him to do certain things against the law. And if he is about to do that, we catch him before any harm is done. And the idea that this way they claim that they are protected the society, but Allah said the truth and He guide to the straight path. We don't see this type of action. We put people responsible for these kind of actions. Whomever wants doubt in people, he will corrupt them. But the person, he need to tighten his observation, like put some cameras to look into the property of the company. You could put cameras that observe the action on knowledge of everybody, all the employees, and go back to those cameras any time you want to see who been stealing, and whomever is uh, go and steal, then you could put him accountable according to the evidence that you have. But to use the weakness of the human body, person, and and instead of to warn him, and you entice him to do worse things, more devilish things, that's not the responsibility of the person who is in charge of people, the one who's supposed to be advising them and to be trusted on it. Let's suppose, for example, is his own son is in that place. Would you like someone in security to entice him, to entrap him, and use his weaknesses? He have nothing know about the difficulties of life, and to make him entrapped with a crime that he really never intended to do it, but you keep him away from his. I know some people, they spend the rest of their life don't even see the sun. Don't they think that they're going to be resurrected to a day where everybody's going to stand to Allah, to everybody? So the person who is entrusted with people, he need to advise, warn, take kindness to people, try to be lenient and tolerant, and make sure that you stay between them and doing the wrong thing. The Prophet ﷺ said, I'm going to take you, and you are try to flee from me, to throw yourself in the fire. I'm trying to hold you back from the fire, and you are trying to let go of him and go to the fire. The Prophet ﷺ rule, and those who go after him and his followers, that you keep the followers of Muhammad ﷺ and all the difficulties of life and the tribulation of life. You warn, you teach, you warn, you advise, you entice people to with goodness, but you don't entice them to uh, devilish action and evil actions. And this will not happen except with people who are kids, people with problems in their sanity, young, who have not seen anything in life to understand realities. They haven't had experience in life, and you entice them and trap them, and you ruin their lives in their first path of their life. That is transgression. We are free from it. Another question, the one who's asking, from the Muslim Students Association in Houston, about allowing the zakah money to take care of a project to make tents for iftar and Tarawih prayers, because the number of people are more than what the dedicated room is for them. If what is trying to do is find a place for prayers and lectures and da'wah, that is part of da'wah to Allah Azza wa Jal. That is in the sake of Allah, which is part of zakah. In its general understanding, like a lot of fiqh areas, fiqh institutions, they see that available. Because they said, like in Amjad, for example, said that since the jihad is bigger than just the fighting, it is also with the tongue and with the da'wah to Allah Azza wa Jal. So that's part on the sake of Allah. That's in the 8 areas of zakah that is allowed. But if it is meant that you are put in a place to eat for iftar, even though it is a noble goal, and those who are doing it, but that's not part of zakah, because these areas, they are rich and the poor use it, and most of them are not in the needing, because they have the enough and most of the time. So it is from the grants or the general donations. Jazakumullah khair. The second question: in one of the masjid, there's a new memorizer of the Quran. Since we are coming to Ramadan, let's concentrate on this one so we could utilize it. In a masjid, there's a new reciters of the Quran. They share into the Taraweeh prayers. They make some mistakes during the recitation without correction from those who are memorizers of the Quran behind them. When others try to correct them, the Imam who is leaving the place after 8 that's following is asking that correcting of the Imam from the only dedicated memorizers. So which led a lot of mistakes, which is even leaving one ayah or and the pronunciation of the words, and the other ones that is not directly in one night, it is corrected the next day. The reciter will recite the ayah he made a mistake, then he goes back to the part that he is supposed to. So a lot of good reciters of the Quran, they went to another masjid, so they will not hear the mistakes. The administration, they told them to put measurements to correct. First, let's understand the fiqh rules that govern that part. And then we'll talk about the administration way to do it. To correct the imam, it is allowed. To correct the imam, it is allowed. So it is allowed for those who are following the prayers. If the imam is stopped in the prayers or made a mistake, that he will correct him. The evidence on this, what Abu Dawood and Ibn Hibban in their book, and the Hakim from the son of Umar, that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he prayed and he recited, and he got up, and then he said to Ubay, "Did you pray with us?" He said, "Yes." "So what stopped you from correcting me or to remind me?" And Anas said, "We used to correct the imam at the time of the Prophet sallallahu." And Al-Hafiz is saying that Ali ibn Abi Talib said, "If the imam asks your help, help him." And because to correct the imam, it is help to making good recitation. So it is like the listening of the recitation. When it is obligated and when is it recommended? It is obligatory where you are changing the meaning of the ayah, and that's stressed in Al-Fatiha, because recitation of Al-Fatiha is part of the prayer, because there is no prayer for those who do not recite the Al-Fatiha. But if he did not change the meaning, then it is good or recommended, but it's not obligatory. Some of the scholars said you don't open to him if he changed from one surah to another or one to another, as long as he did not change the an ayah that has punishment with one that is mercy. And the fiqh of Maliki in the one of their books, that to correct the imam, if he is confused or he changed his recitation. If he stopped waiting for people to remind him of what next, or if he changed the recitation, then he should not. If he went from one surah to another or an ayah to another, as long as he don't confuse the one with punishment with the, as if the Maliki are saying, and not to rush into it. Only if there's something great happened. Because a lot of the Imam, if you try to correct them, they get confused. So, as if he said, when he changed an ayah of mercy with a punishment one, or something that is more dire than this. Sheikh Ibn Uthaymeen said, if the Imam made a mistake that changes the meaning, it is obligatory to correct him. Fatiha or none. If it does not, it is better to answer him, but you don't have to. Now, in the Fatiha, you have to stop it. So, if it is something else on the Fatiha, and it's not required on the. And by the way, what we should remember that no Imam should not feel bad if somebody tries to correct you. The companions, the best of companions happened, and even the Prophet ﷺ, and he said to Ubay, what stopped you to correct me? Did you pray with us? He said, yes. He said, what stopped you from correcting me? So to forget is happened to humans, all of them. So some, they'll stop and they're asking people to correct them. But also, the people who are following rush to correct the Imam or to correct his, because it might confuse him, and he will know, he will get, most of the time he will get the mistake and he will address it and correct his recitation. This is about the fiqh part. From administration part, this is the people who can do it with to put 3, to put 4, but in the first row, second, third, fourth. These are managerial issues. It has nothing to do with the fiqh. So you could choose what is better to reach the goal that we are having. And the decision for Amja, people can order with goodness and they take it back to the management and with the with consideration of the Imam's opinion, and to also to share and consult with the congregation, as long as it does not violate something that is known that it is shirk or a matter, because it's not up to a believer, man or woman, to know that they have that choice. And whoever disobey Allah and His Messenger, there's with that, these arrangement that the Imam has put forward, and it's mentioned there, what sounds normal, if that's what the agreement was, and to tell the memorizer to be alert and to teach them how to correct him and to correct the Imam if he asked, or to help him in continuation. and you can change the memorizers with the person who's more alert, and there's not a problem that the person recite again and go again of where he stopped, because the order is recommended, not obligatory, unless it is very hard on people to understand it. Then we ignore that. Not to stop it, but what it could come up with of a division. And we remind everybody that it's a mercy when people are united, and it is harmful when they split. Another question about to specify 10 places, permanent places for those who donate 10 yearly. Maybe we could put some areas to give them a specific parking spot to make it easier for those who have short time, like doctors. Like those who donate generously, we give them some kind of a place of recommendation. Is there any problem with that? Actually, there's nothing wrong to allow certain places for some of the service, and as long as something simple, because this is not a loan. He's not giving you a loan. No, it's donation, and it's not a loan that you have to give any benefits. It is from the donations completely, and it is very flexible area. And to accept it is a person who donate. Some want to make his donation purely to Allah. He don't like any doubts in it, and some he found an easy, and there's so many areas we could get away. So nothing wrong. Alhamdulillah, with his bounties, fulfilled the good deeds. Another question: if someone needs to do an operation, he will go where they will change it to a year with, and we're talking about someone sick, and what is necessarily is bring the solutions. If that person is sick and you can get to accept through the loan, you increase in the loan. This is riba, but that is allowed on necessities. What looks we are look into an operation about something of needed. Is the person who, if he can, if he's still next to a smoker, would that be? It is something not like that. I don't feel like to say something. Allah said in the Quran, don't say something haram. This not so you could get the lie. Yes, the person who is smoke. I mean, he knows it's haram, and those who sit next to him, he might have some of the effects of that person who is smoking. It's not for it is forbidden, but it is a reminder. And I hope we do not rush into forbidden. to say this is haram. That's why a lot of big scholars and something bigger than this. I don't like this. I don't want this for him. He should not do that. He avoid to say haram or forbidden. Something easier. So if you stand in front of Allah and said, "You have forbid with no proof from me or authority from me," those who rely on Allah, they will not be successful. But no doubt, what is prior for him, if he's a smoker and this cigarette always in his mouth, and he can move and he can wait, it is better for him to. It's easier to go what is allowed instead of saying this haram or halal. Another question: I saw some video, and he was saying something about a dream setting, which is to have an earthquake soon. I wish that he would have interpreted that. My the seeing the dream of the prophets is an inspiration from Allah. Ibrahim saw that he slaughtered his son. He took him and put him to the right so he could slaughter him. He knew it is truthful from Allah. And then he was called, "Oh Ibrahim, we have believed the dream, and that's how we reward those who follow you." And the first thing the Prophet ﷺ had before the inspiration from heaven, that he will see the dream comes through. About the explanation of the dreams, you have to ask someone else beside me. But I tell you that the ru'ya that is the first. So he'll go to one of the Rashid people to given the explanation of the dreams, maybe he could interpret to him. Another question: my mother is too old and she stayed in the hospital a long time, and now she's in the house. She's complaining that she started the prayers, but she always forget everything during the prayer. She don't know how many sujood, how many rak'ahs. Then she will work on something truthful, and then she is not able to. ويسأل الله عز وجل to بس آمين. The Sheikh will make a dua for her. Allah Azza wa obligated as much as we can. And for those around that, they have to help her with that as much as they can. From it, to count how many rak'ahs she's doing. Or next to her, from her sons, who keep up with it. So she needs to fear Allah as much as she can, and for those around her to help her as much as can. And what they can do, I hope it's the thing that is forgiven. Another question about remember Allah Azza wa Jal to recitation of the Quran. They like to listen to the lectures, but she also making the dhikr, but to combine the heart with the with the tongue does not exist. Some of us they will be here with us in the lecture, and he is looking at the recitation of the Quran. Maybe you have two hearts in one body. Yes. Subhanallah. Anyway, the reminders three stages. One with the heart and the tongue. This is the highest. The second one, a reminder with the heart only, and the third one with tongue only. If you move it with the reminder mention of Allah without concentration on it, you have percentage of the reward. It is better to use it for something like song, something Allah forbids. So you still get the reward no matter what, level of dhikr you have. Maybe if you are in the knowledge and the but the dhikr is 24 hours, so if you sit in an area of science, try to learn so you could go with a very good and may Allah bless you in your aspiration. Another question, some of our brothers saying, can IGH do like if you get package Umrah or the entice and the to some incentive to register. Those who register, they will get a chance to win a TV or something. The answer, if this is these prices, because of money, different donors, they did not risk nothing, and there is nothing. So either he will get the reward, or he will not lose anything. That is allowed. Sometimes, some of the agents they take those who bought from her without cost them anything. As long as it is something that either you gain or you're not going to lose. The gambling that is forbidden, that the parties should not either you win or lose. Anything on that, this is the one that is forbidden. That Allah Azza wa Jal said. They're asking you about the alcohol and gambling. There is sin, there is a lot of sins and benefits to people, and their evil is worse than its goodness. You cannot say, oh, I am donating to the poor and whatever I gain, because Allah good does not accept what is good. The lottery, it is the gambling of the people of Jahiliyyah. And they used to, at the time of Abu Jahl and Abu Lahab, whomever win those lotteries, they used to take it and divide it on the poor and needy. This is the benefit of the gambling that the Prophet ﷺ mentioned in the Quran. And Allah is saying, they'll ask you about the alcohol and gambling. Said there's and their sin is better than their goodness. One of it, the gambling, that you are making it easy on those he used to spread it between the needy. And one of them might slaughter 100 camels, and this is like making for cancer or something like this. Allah Azza wa Jal is good, does not accept that is what is good. What Allah has, you cannot reach it with a sin. A person who lead the prayers, he does not recite good. He made the dha, like you say, غير المغضوب عليهم. And we have told the people in charge in the masjid of this, and they still imam and repeat the same mistake. Is our prayers good? Behind him. I usually recite Al-Fatiha in every rak'ah. The answer, there is no doubt that originally distinct between Dad and Za, and to take each one with its so some have difficulty to get it out of his place, and whomever cannot correct his own tongue in the Dad or others, he has an excuse, and his prayer is accepted because it is close to the way it said. The Dad is very close to Azad. So you have to do your best, teach yourself. But if you can't, or because something he's not used to, it is prayer is correct. And no one need to correct him because he is used to a certain way. And those who changed Al-Fatiha to make the Ra Ghain, except all Dalleen, that is very clear. So if he change it to the Dad, then he can, his leadership is accepted. Because the Dad and Dha is from the entrance of the tongue. And because they are too close, and it's very hard to pronounce it right, so it is okay, inshallah. Ibn Kathir, mercy, because of the Dad and Dad are very close in the way they come out, and the Sheikh is talking where does it come from, and because both of the letters are very lenient and they're absolute, that's why also the fatwa of nowadays, the in Saudi Arabia, the Ifta institution, they said whomever can make the Dad from the right way, he can wait. But for those who had no choice, and their praise is accepted. But it is the Dad and Dad, what you forgive in it, that's not corrected the others. And that's the hardness of making difference between them when you are reciting. Like Allah scholars has said, one of them, Al-Hafidh ibn Kathir, in his explanation of the Quran. We'll stop here today, inshallah. Continue next time. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك.